Yeah, Phil the meme says, honestly, today I believe that WoW as it exists makes players bitter, mistrustful, and toxic. Hoping for changes in the future, but for now, that's my 2 cents. Phil, I think you knocked it right out of the park. I think you knocked it right out of the park with that. World of Warcraft creates that, and it creates it in interesting, unique ways. It's kind of like been these changes in terms of how the game also is monetized, and so monetization is such a tricky situation, especially in these kind of games. MTX, while I personally get the understanding of businesses need to make money, but microtransactions are a trust relationship with the publisher, developer, and the community. And that becomes a tricky situation. That's why I think the subscription model is by far the best model when it came to the MMORPG, because it was that consistent promise of you deliver and I continue to give you a little bit of money. But we've shifted it. We've shifted where the monetization comes from. And when you focus in on making money, when your money is your primary existence, especially when in gaming, that's where art and commerce collide. And so over the course of World of Warcraft, you can continue to see that. And ultimately, players are left hungry. They want this experience and they're chasing that. I think there's a couple reasons for that. I think dopamine plays a huge impact. Like, games are addictive. We do know the science of dopamine on the brain. And I think overall, like, sometimes if you get in this habit of chasing past experiences for that high that you get, that you end up creating this sense where you need more of that. And then they got to a situation where I think I've said this before. I said this in BFA as a non-WoW player, mind you, as a non-WoW player. I said this in BFA, that it's like, it feels like WoW's in a state of managed decline. That means, yes, they're putting out updates, they're doing these kind of things, but with that state of managed decline, then all of a sudden you start looking at the monetization, and it just leads you to continue to question the motivations of like what you're doing and what your money is, and what your money and time is worth. And then you also have a lot of different, aspects within culture and society that have played into that aspect, right? Where you saw a huge amount of investment in MMORPGs because of that, the money was there. But then we've seen the market also shift to where the money has gone into these other genres where it's even more lucrative. And so that's the fact that even to this day, the fact that we still get games like Final Fantasy 14 and Final Fantasy 16, like the fact that game companies still make these games that aren't just mobile cash grabs boggles my mind, because like you just look at the sheer amount of money that these other games make, and that ends up being the case. And that's what I think, coming it all back to full circle with World of Warcraft is it ends up being a huge impact on that. The game has seen how those games monetize and has brought those monetization systems in. And in an RPG, I think it doesn't necessarily equate. It doesn't mean it's a 1-to-1 aspect ratio. For me though, and this will be controversial, so get your clip fingers ready. For me though, when it comes down to the monetization of the future of the MMO genre, like I've already clearly stated what my preference is. Where I see this going though, is that we're not seeing new games being introduced in the genre with a subscription. We're just not. New World, Blue Protocol, like are two classic examples, but we've also seen PSO2, Guild Wars 2 doesn't have a sub, and more seem to be going in that route. Now, Ashes of Creation is going to be interesting. Mortal Online 2 is an exception, and we'll have to see if there's success there. And that's the real question. Is there success there? Because it's one thing to say, this is my preferred method, but then not support it financially, and then people go, well, you said you wanted a subscription model, but no one subscribed, and now we're all like, is going in that direction. But we look at things like Prime, we look at things like Game Pass, we look at things like these other services that are more encompassing. I think it allows for a greater shift. But then the question is what is the right model if there is no subscription model and we don't want a predatory cash shop? And I put a lot of thought into it. And that's why when it comes down to the core aspect of it, I go, well, what could work and how would it work? And it would be that if you look at something that doesn't expire, so you have to apply that if I purchase something, that I have it. There's not a timer on it. So no artificial FOMO. FOMO is going to exist. It's a fact of life. And for those who don't know, FOMO is that fear of missing out. But if you have that artificial FOMO, that means like we put a timer on this, I'm not going to opt into it. So you're going to miss out, I think, a bigger chunk of money. But take something like a battle pass, something seasonal model, something you work and grind on, and you add in that you don't have it expire. And so it just becomes that, hey, you want to buy this season, and then, okay, cool. And then you can equip it, and that becomes the season of whatever that you're working on. Now, Final Fantasy XIV is in fact actually introducing its own battle pass, but it's introducing a battle pass with an expiration date, which is interesting. It'll be interesting to see how I end up feeling about it. Now, I don't have to pay for it because I'm subscribed, but that's where I think that that's going to be something that they're going to be testing, not just to see if it changes the foundation of 14. Who knows if that will ever happen? But ultimately, as an experiment overall within the genre, are battle passes the right fit for MMOs? And I say they might be if they don't expire. If battle passes are introduced to MMORPGs and they do expire, that's just going to be bad news for everyone. I don't think that's going to be fun for anybody. I think that's going to speak to a younger generation, and maybe they'll adapt into it and they'll be excited about it. So I could definitely be wrong there. But at its core, when it comes down to the that aspect, I think battle passes might be the future of the MMO subscription as that optional thing that you purchase. And as long as it doesn't expire and you can always kind of equip it, grind it out and level it up and do all these different things, it could actually be something of value where the developer continues to get money. They also get money through the expansion, and then they have a cash shop to offset various things. What do you guys think about that? You know, let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling, you know, in the comments and in the chat. Like, that's just my monologue. Phil says that with the purchase of Microsoft, I'm hoping with the future of WoW and the full Blizzard state, it could be good, it could be bad. I'm thinking it's going to be good. I'm thinking it's actually going to be beneficial for why am I drawing a blank? I think it's going to be beneficial. So Halo has that with it where it doesn't expire, but man, did they miss on just having a decent battle pass, right? Like having it challenged bait like that, that's integral to the failure of the systems as a whole. That actually, I don't think speaks more to the battle pass. It just speaks to the fact that it's like how people use and engage with the battle pass. I think an RPG is actually more advantageous for that. Imagine if you had a battle pass that's built off of experience. And so, hey, you level, you get experience, and it fills up. Battle passes that are based off of doing certain challenges every day, that's that FOMO. That's that artificial FOMO. Like, really, to do this, I really need to jump in